building a community with a shared future and seeking inclusive growth. The opening ceremony of this year's summit for the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation saw President Xi Jinping outline his vision for China's ties with the African continent in the new era.
China is the largest developing country in the world, and Africa is home to the largest number of developing countries. China and Africa have already formed a community with a shared future. We stand united with Africa's people, thinking with one mind and working with one heart, to build a stronger community with a shared future between China and Africa, and to thereby set an example for promoting the building of a community with a shared future for all humanity.
The summit has provided a crucial opportunity for Chinese and African leaders to discuss how to sustain development and achieve common prosperity.
President Xi Jinping has announced 8 major initiatives in the coming 3 years.
Under the framework of the 10 major cooperation plans, China will work closely with African countries and implement 8 major initiatives in the next 3 years and beyond, in fields like industrial acceleration, infrastructure connectivity, trade facilitation, green development, capacity building, healthcare, people-to-people exchanges, and peace and security.
The level of commitment made by President Xi at the 2015 Focac summit in Johannesburg, South Africa was extraordinary. $60 billion in Chinese funds was pledged over a 3-year period, including loans and other assistance like human resources and expertise. Today, he looked back at what's been achieved so far and set the tone for future development.
In order to promote the successful implementation of the 8 major initiatives, China will provide $60 billion in support for Africa, for government assistance, financial institutions, and financing from Chinese enterprises. It will include $15 billion in free aid, interest-free loans, and concessional loans, $20 billion in credit funds, $10 billion in China-Africa developmental financing, $5 billion in special funds for import trade from Africa, no less than $10 billion in investment from Chinese companies over the next 3 years.
Already, the summit has passed 2 outcome documents, including the Beijing Declaration and the Focac Action Plan 2019 to 2021. Participants say that in the current era of globalization, all nations have a common destiny, and to put it in the words of President Xi, everyone has in himself a little bit of others. CGTN, Beijing.
Now, African leaders and heads of international organizations attending the summit, they have welcomed President Xi's opening address, and they're sharing their thoughts on China and Africa cooperation.
Focac has grown both in extent and scope. It serves as an effective platform for South-South cooperation focused on the tangible improvement of the quality of lives of the people of Africa. Focac refutes the view that a new colonialism is taking hold in Africa, as our detractors would have us believe.
The relationship between Africa and China is based on equality, mutual respect, and a commitment to shared well-being. The expanded cooperation framework presented by President Xi fully reflects our common understanding of the future of our community.
This Forum on China-Africa Cooperation is an embodiment of 2 major priorities of the United Nations: to pursue fair globalization and to promote development that leaves no one behind in the context of a rules-based system of international relations supported by strong multilateral institutions.
Pour un multilatéralisme rénové.
The African Union is actively committed to a multilateralism that is characterized by mutual aid and generosity, so that countries can have greater mutual understanding. To have that kind of multilateralism, we need to advance the rule of law and the centrality of the United Nations.
Now, what exactly is Focac all about, and how exactly does its framework work? Well, CGTN's Robert Nagila breaks it down for us.
Established in the year 2000 and held every 3 years, the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, or Focac, as it's commonly referred to by its acronym, is a platform established by China and African countries to promote diplomacy, trade, security and investment relations linked to South-South cooperation. The forum's agenda is shaped by 2 areas: pragmatic cooperation, which seeks to strengthen consultation and expand cooperation, and equality and mutual benefit, which promotes both political dialogue and economic cooperation. All this is achieved through an integrated framework governing Sino-Africa relations. Now, one of the more important initiatives to emerge out of Focac was the establishment of the China-Africa Business Council in 2005. It led to the expansion of high-level diplomatic exchanges, increased input for Africa in planning of the Focac agenda, assistance to Africa to achieve Millennium Development Goals, and strengthening food security. In 2015, during the Focac summit in Johannesburg, President Xi Jinping pledged $60 billion in assistance and loans for Africa over a 3-year period. The funds would be used in 10 key areas, including industrialization, the modernization of agriculture, financial services, green development, peace and security. Back to you.